what's up, Guam? STG Filmmakers here with Guam News, and we're taking a look at some imagery from last night, Saturday, March 21st, at about 1:30 a.m. It is absolutely a ghost town, as you can see in some of this imagery, which coincidentally resembles a lot of some of the imagery we've been looking at for the past couple weeks from places around the world. So today we're going to be taking a look at some of the polls, comments, and questions coming from just regular average people every day out there living life here on Guam, just wanting questions, wanting answers about how this quarantine is going to affect small businesses, employees, and when about we can expect to see normalcy here on the island. During this week, I've had an opportunity to talk to quite a few small business owners, and some of the major concerns coming out of small business owners are, how long is this quarantine going to last? We've had the official report saying somewhere along the lines of March 30th, so it's going to go essentially from March 20th all the way to the 30th. However, the major concern coming out of most households here on the island is, since we are seeing a small increase in the amount of individuals becoming affected by COVID-19, can we really expect the quarantine to be lifted by March 30th? Having the opportunity to put out a poll throughout the week asking and reaching out to business owners in regards to having to either lay off employees or severely cut hours within the last week. This poll yielded a 69% yes with a 31% no. And this is coming from a pool of 69 business owners or small business owners here on the island. So 69% of small business owners on the island have had to either lay off or severely cut hours of some of their employees within this last week. What this means for the employees that have had either hours cut down severely or they just don't have a job at all is, where is this next check going to come from so that they can pay their rent, pay their mortgage, pay their car note, and just basically just be able to provide for their family for this next month and for the upcoming months, depending on how long the quarantine lasts. One of the major concerns that I was getting throughout the week, and questions that individuals wanted me to ask the public here, is how long is this quarantine going to last? Because they're just not believing that it's going to last until March 30th. Like we talked about earlier, with the amount of individuals still coming back with positive test results from COVID-19, it does seem highly unlikely that with the incline of positive tests coming back that they're going to release the quarantine on March 30th. The second question I was getting back is, if you were laid off or your hours were severely cut, what steps are there for you to take in regards to receiving some of those funds that were allocated for individuals who lost their jobs or have had their hours cut severely due to the COVID-19 quarantine and epidemic? Just watching some of the reports online, just like everyone else, apparently some of these fundings are going to be released by way of check from the government, directly from the government to the employee, but we still don't really know. Been getting a lot of messages as well from individuals that are working at the hospital that are saying the virus is spreading quickly by way of the gas pumps. So essentially people are going to pump gas and they're actually touching the gas pump, and then while they're filling their gas pump, they're getting infected by other individuals who have touched that same gas pump. Now, this could definitely be a way that this is spreading. However, here on Guam, I don't really think that this is the case, just because of the fact that I would say 60 to 70% of the people that go to a gas station to have their gas filled up, they have a gas attendant actually filling their gas pump for them while they go in to the store, get their drinks, and just get whatever snacks they need. And as they come out, the gas is already pumped, and they could just split, right after the gas is pumped or after the gas attendant has pumped their gas for them. So they're not really having direct contact with the gas pump itself. Now, as a caveat to that, you would have to have a large pool of people that have tested positive in order to be able to backtrack where they came from. And here on Guam, since we've only had just a handful of cases, there's not really enough data to go off of whether or not individuals are getting it from gas pumps or not. And so this is just like anything else. Just be wary of some of the messages that are floating around in WhatsApp groups and on Facebook chats. Really, you just kind of have to use your own common sense. While I'm not saying it's not possible to get a viral infection from touching a gas pump, however, just here on the island, that doesn't seem very conceivable, considering we don't have that many cases, and typically everyone has a gas attendant pump their gas as well, like I referred to earlier. In another poll taken throughout the week, a question was asked to the general public of Guam, which is, do you feel that the government or the health officials here on the island are telling the public 100% everything they need to know in order to be fully aware of the current events going on with the COVID-19 or the spread of the COVID-19 disease? This was actually an 89% no to an 11% yes. So 89% of the population in general, just based off of this poll, feel like the government is just not being as transparent as they should be, especially when it comes to particularly dealing with the location of where some of these individuals tested positive, as far as what village they're from or what village they reside in, coupled with the fact that most people that are currently residing here on Guam believe that there are more than 15 or 16 or just a handful of cases of individuals who tested positive. So whether there's more or whether there's less than 15, I don't think that is really of major concern. I think that if there is 100 or 200 people that are running around that are actually infected with the COVID-19 virus, I think that the quarantine will more or less suppress the spread of it. However, I do feel that an important key factor to make sure that we hit on is that we are being advised to only go to the hospital if we're feeling symptomatic from COVID-19 or the coronavirus. And it is at that point and at that point alone when they will go ahead and initiate the test on individuals who are only symptomatic. And that brings us to our last major concern with most people, just everyday people running around on Guam, and that is, why are only individuals who are symptomatic being tested versus why is there not a plan being devised to have the entire island tested? Most of us by now know that you don't necessarily have to be symptomatic in order to spread this disease. And about 1 out of 4 people who do contract this virus may not even feel symptoms at all throughout the whole time that they've had it. And so one major reason why we're not seeing a whole lot of people testing positive is because they're simply not testing a whole lot of people. During the last report that was put out on Saturday morning, they put out that they tested 23, and out of those 23, one individual tested positive. So if they're only testing 23 or 24, 25 people at a time within a population of 170 to 180,000 individuals, it's obviously no surprise that the count that we're getting back for individuals testing positive is low. Most of the individuals that I was talking to this week all feel that it is imperative that every single person on the island get tested. Obviously, we all know this isn't going to happen overnight or over the course of even just a couple weeks. But the fact that it hasn't even been talked about, or it doesn't seem like it's even crossed anyone's mind, is the thing that everyone is mostly concerned about. Testing every single person on the island is of utmost importance if we want to make sure we 100% stamp out this thing. And if we're only conducting tests on individuals who feel symptoms from COVID-19, we could be potentially missing out on a whole lot of other people that are spreading around the COVID-19 disease even as we speak. It may be something simple as a shortage of personnel in order to administer these tests, or they simply don't have enough test kits. But either way, something needs to be initiated in order to start that process in order to have everyone tested, whether or not you have symptoms or not. Be sure to tune in to some of the questions and polls being asked on the Guam News Instagram page, as well as the STG Filmmakers Instagram page as well. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns that you would like to have spread out through this medium, you can also hit us up there on direct message. We're going to be bringing you a new segment of the actual scoop every Sunday, so make sure you tune into that as well. Until then, make sure you do everything within your power to not spread this thing around. That means not go out into the bars or not hang out in large groups or social gatherings, because obviously it's not just about you getting sick, but it's about that potential of spreading it to someone else who may not be able to handle the virus as well as your body can. So until then, we will see y'all in the next segment. Stay safe.